President Bongbong Marcos is pushing for the use of nuclear energy for power generation as a cheaper alternative to fossil fuel. Good morning, I'm Gerg Cahiles sitting in for Attorney Karen Jimeno, and this is At the Forefront. It's time for the Philippines to use nuclear energy. This is the proclamation of President Marcos during his fifth State of the Nation address. But safety concerns remain a major stumbling block. The Bataan nuclear power plant, built during the term of his father, the late President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., has been mothballed for decades. Is it time for the Philippines to have a nuclear power plant and catch up with the rest of the world? Let's find out. We'll be speaking with Dr. Vallerie Samson. She's the director of the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute. Good morning, Dr. Val.
Good morning, Sir George, and good morning to all our listeners and viewers of this program.
Firstly, one group said the country does not need nuclear power plants since the country has enough renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and geothermal. Do you agree?
Okay. First things first, solar and all the other renewables versus nuclear are not competing against each other. Actually, they're complementary. Nuclear is for base load electricity, that is electricity that is 24/7 running, and solar and wind are intermittent or non-continuous type of electricity. However, we recognize that solar is especially cheap nowadays, but they're intermittent. Therefore, you need to have the base load type of energy that will power even when the solar and wind is intermittent. So nuclear is for your base load, which can replace your oil and coal production, while your solar and wind are non-continuous, but they are very useful for households and much cheaper right now, especially with solar in the market. So that is so they are complementary. They are not competing.
Huwag pagbanggain.
Huwag pagbanggain. Huwag pagbanggain.
But anyway, ma'am, of course, the primary concern of Filipinos is the safety of the nuclear power plant. What is your response to that? How do we ensure the safety of the public once a nuclear power plant is already there, established and operational?
Indeed, safety is a major concern for the global citizens. No, it's not only Filipinos that are concerned with safety, but especially all communities that will host a nuclear power plant do have very valid concerns for safety. And to be able to ensure safety is we need to have scientific and technical data to support that. We cannot just have assurances. And by doing scientific and technical data evaluation of the site, for example, so if we are doing siting studies, there needs to be geo, hydro, and weather conditions scientific studies to be able to show the public that this site is good. And then after the siting studies, then we move to the technology, right? Technology and safety assessment, which will be done, of course, by our regulator, the soon Philatom will have to do a technical assessment of the reactor technology that an operator will be buying from a vendor country. So this will all be done via scientific and technical data to assure safety to the public. These are not just checklists. This will not just be a checklist. This will be proven scientifically that the site is safe and the technology is safe for the country.
But based on existing studies, is the Philippines a good candidate for nuclear energy?
Of course, I've heard this before that the Philippines is situated in the Ring of Fire, right? And so is Japan. And Japan has 30 nuclear power plants. And they even have stronger earthquakes than us, and therefore, but they are able to build nuclear power plants. And that's thanks, of course, to proper regulations in place that is proven by scientific data. That if an operator says that I want to build a nuclear power plant along this line, then the regulator will say, where is your active fault? Where is your volcano lying? And we have regulations on that how far a nuclear power plant should be on an active fault, or how far far should it be on an active volcano? So the regulations will properly determine that so that our kababayans will not be nervous if a nuclear power plant will come to their community, because we will have regulations in place to ensure that active hazards, very active hazards, will in a community will not be near a nuclear power plant.
Of course, it didn't help kasi din, ma'am, that there were incidents in the past
Yes.
related to nuclear power plants in other countries. That's why there's always that feeling,
Yes.
safety concerns
Right.
for Filipinos. But again, this is another thing, no? But enriched uranium is used to fuel nuclear power plants. So saan ba natin kukuhanin itong enriched uranium na ito? Saan ba galing itong element na ito? Kasi sa periodic table of elements lang namin ito naririnig.
Yes, that is also a question. Where are we going to get uranium? So we have actually reserves for uranium for around 230 years the world over. But that's just the sites that are discovered right now. We still have, for 230 years, we can still buy uranium in Kazakhstan, you have in Australia, in Canada. And the major advantage of nuclear is uranium is located in countries that are not in like conflict areas, shall we say, where you have geopolitical crises going on, and that stabilizes the price of uranium. No, so there has never been an issue with uranium, where you get your uranium. And for a country like Philippines, since it still will be a small nuclear power program, it's better that we don't buy the uranium and process it here in the Philippines, but we will buy the fuel itself.
Already.
The process itself, you can buy it in Japan or in America. So we will just be buying the fuel because it will be more expensive to import uranium from Canada or Australia and then process it here, since we will still be a small nuclear power program.
But apart from uranium, meron pa bang ibang alternative for that element?
Yes, there is. You have thorium, but it will be a different type of reactor, of course. And there are also like fast breeder reactors right now wherein they recycle the uranium coming from nuclear power plants. They send it to a recycling facility and then use that to fuel fast breeder reactor. But these are different technologies as well. You can use thorium, but it will be a different reactor technology. Not usual in the world, because it's the more usual is the uranium powered nuclear power plants. But there are other technologies that can be done with different elements on the periodic table.
All right. Okay. But the U.S. Trade and Development Agency provided a $2.7 million grant to Meralco Power Gen Corporation to evaluate itong SMR, small modular nuclear reactor technology from the U.S. Are you aware of this, and how much power can this SMR can generate? SMR can generate.
Okay, so an SMR is an acronym for small modular reactor. We call the big nuclear reactors a big build, or the conventional. So they are 600 to 1,200 megawatts right now, the conventional build. Now the small modular reactor is running from 100 megawatt to 300 megawatts. So they are smaller already than the big builds, than the 600 to 1,000. But the good thing with the small modular reactor, that's why they're very attractive all over the world right now, is because of their smallness, they can power small islands, they can power small communities. You don't really need to build a big one to be able to power such small cities or small communities or small industries even.
Okay, so ito medyo pwede sa mga kagaya nating archipelagic country.
Yes, very true. That's why the president, during his first very first SONA, mentioned the small modular reactor, because that's one way for the Philippines to push electricity towards our smaller communities or small islands. No?
Dr. Val, can we still use the Bataan nuclear power plant? But before you answer that, at the forefront, we'll be back after a short break. Welcome back at the forefront. We continue our conversation with the director of the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute, Dr. Vallerie Samson. Ma'am, can we still use the Bataan nuclear power plant?
Before answering that, we need, again, as like in nuclear, we need to have technical and scientific data to be able to answer that. And right now, the Department of Energy already has concluded a feasibility study on whether it will still be feasible to revive the Bataan nuclear power plant. So the feasibility study has been done already, and then it will have to be presented still to the Nuclear Energy Program Interagency Committee. So I don't know the result yet of that feasibility study.
But what's the advantage of using an existing facility? Hindi natin ito nagamit no po. Sabi nga nila, white elephant ito. Ginastosan ng bilyong piso in the past, no? But it's already 40-year-old, no?
40-year-old,
na
yes.
facility. So it's been a while. What is the advantage of using that facility right now?
So the advantage of using the Bataan nuclear power plant is the civil structure is already there. And in a nuclear power program development, one of the hardest to overcome is the civil structure, the building of the reactor dome and all the auxiliary engineering beside it, because it's a different kind of civil engineering and structural engineering in place, because it needs to be able to withstand very strong earthquakes, very strong ground shaking. That's why it's very, very difficult structurally to build the building itself. And with the Bataan nuclear power plant, it's already there. That's why, that's the advantage of the Bataan nuclear power plant. You already have the building, which is the most difficult to overcome in any nuclear power program.
Kumbaga, kung gusto natin immediate itong gagawin natin, may facility na.
My building now, we just need to like upgrade the facility, what's inside, but the structure is already there, which is the advantage of that.
Of course, there's another fear because apart from the safety issues, there is a concern about the proper disposal of nuclear waste. Can we actually do that here in the Philippines? Ano bang dapat gawin dyan sa nuclear waste na yan?
So nuclear waste is a issue or an infrastructure issue that the Philippines needs to answer to the global community on what we are going to do with the waste. And there are three types of waste. There is low level, there's mid-level, and there's high level waste. And we bury them differently, or there are different routes to doing that. The bulk of the waste is low level. That's the bulk of the waste. And what we do with low level waste is just to bury it for some time, let it decay, and after decaying, you can throw it as like any industrial waste. And it's also for mid-level waste, you just need to bury them a few meters below ground. However, the most critical is the high-level waste, in which you need years and years of geological studies and technical studies to be able to determine if a site is to be a good disposal facility for high-level waste. Right now, there's only one country in the world who has a high-level waste repository. Even if the world has already done nuclear for 60 years, there's only one country that is able to do that, and that's Finland. But I believe so that in the coming years, there will be a new model of burying high-level waste. It can be like a shared repository within countries. So those kinds of policies or mechanisms might be available in the coming years. But we are already exploring as early as now where will we be able to do our high-level waste, because we need to be able to answer to that.
Yung high-level waste, ito yung pinoproduce ng mga nuclear power plants?
Yes. So it's the waste coming from the uranium fuel. After it has decayed for several months, you store them, and then you store them in a cask. A cask is like parang kabaong. It's like a kabaong. And then that's where those fuel rods is the high-level waste that you need to address.
In the case of Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, there's a pushback kasi sa community. May LGUs na nag-declare dyan na, okay, bawal ang nuclear activities dito sa area namin. So, kung hindi mawawala yon o hindi magbabago yung isip nila, are there any other areas in the Philippines that are good candidates to become a host for a nuclear power plant?
So let me answer the latter question. There are other sites in the Philippines right now. I think there are 5 sites determined already, tabletop determination by the Nuclear Energy Program Interagency Committee. There are 5 available other sites where a nuclear power plant can be hosted. But I want to also answer the first one, that really the hesitation of hosting a nuclear power plant is, of course, the community that doesn't know anything about nuclear, no? And they are not aware of the benefits of hosting a nuclear power plant in their locality. And therefore, it is the task of the Nuclear Energy Program Interagency Committee to educate our local stakeholders on nuclear, because it's a common human perception that anything you don't know, of course you will
There's
fear
fear.
it.
Yes, of course.
You fear because you don't know. Therefore, we just need to educate the local communities on nuclear. And even me, I've been telling this, that I am willing to go down to the barangay level to educate our kababayans on nuclear, to help alleviate their fear on nuclear, because nuclear has been introduced in the world with the nuclear bomb. And
May misconception ka agad.
Yes, yes. So we cannot hide that fact anymore. Therefore, we just need to educate our kababayans that, look, we will handle this safely. This is how we will do things, so that all your safety concerns will be alleviated, and that we will do a good job in making the nuclear power plant.
Saan po ba itong tabletop task sites na binabanggit nyo? Yung itong 5 areas na potentially pwede?
As far as I know, there are sites in Palawan, and then Bataan, of course. I think, sorry, the 5th site is already in Morong, Bataan, and then there are 2 sites, I guess, in Palawan, and then two islands in the Philippines as well.
Okay, so of course, apart from the power generation aspect of nuclear technology, binanggit kasi ni President Bongbong Marcos in his 5th SONA na ginagamit na naman natin itong nuclear technology. And actually, we use it in the medical, agriculture sectors, no? Water filtration, among others.
Yes.
So, gaano ba kayo ka-involved dito, yung PNRI?
Yes. For more than 60 years, the PNRI has been pushing the other peaceful uses of nuclear in the Philippines.
Peaceful uses.
Peaceful uses, yes. Peaceful uses of nuclear in the Philippines. Of course, power is what our kababayans usually know, but we use them heavily in food irradiation. Food irradiation is when we try to reduce the bacterial content in food and other commodities via gamma ray or electron beam irradiation. We've also done mutation breeding. So we irradiate seeds of plants, and then we mutate them, and then we are able to produce new varieties that are better than their parent plants. We are able to use them in sterilization of medical implants. We have a partnership with PGH in which the medical implants you use for like hip replacement or knee replacement, they are being irradiated in PNRI to remove also the bacteria from that. And a lot of other research and peaceful applications that we have already, some of them we have already downloaded to the market. And I will just plug that we have already like an organic fertilizer that has been, the polymer has been changed via irradiation, and then we are also right now hard at work for recycling plastics using irradiation. So we are making construction bricks made out of irradiated plastic to promote the recycled technology.
And these are all products of research.
These are all products of research.
And how important is that in terms of, understanding more about nuclear technology, about improving the lives of the people using nuclear technology nga?
So before any technology comes out in the market, you have basic research and then research for applications that are already in place at the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute. We've, as I've mentioned, we have 65 years of research work already, and they are very, very important, not only in producing patents or producing applications, but in keeping the expertise of nuclear in the country. So we have, like, right now we have 300 young, very young personnel in PNRI who are keeping the expertise of nuclear that we can use in other peaceful applications, including for the nuclear power program.
But do you think we have enough professionals? Are we producing nuclear technology professionals? Meron ba tayong degree sa kolehiyo na pinag-aaralan itong nuclear technology? Specifically for nuclear technology, meron bang ganun?
Right now, we are hard at work with major universities as well as CHED, under the Nuclear Energy Program Interagency Committee to introduce nuclear engineering as well as graduate courses in nuclear science and technology in our universities, either as a bachelor's degree program or as a graduate, like a master's degree or PhD program. So we are hard at work at that because we want to nuclearize, some of our, especially our engineering courses, so that they will be able to work at the nuclear facility when the nuclear power plant comes. So let me just say this, that in a nuclear power plant, you don't need 1,000 nuclear engineers. You need the chemical, the civil, the mechanical, all these engineers, they just need to be nuclearized. What I mean is they need to be able to understand radiation protection, radiation safety, do not go near if your radiation monitor is beeping, and how to be able to do emergency preparedness. So these things just needs to be incorporated in our thriving engineering courses all over the world. So I'm very hopeful for the Philippines because we have a lot of engineers. We just need to build the nuclear engineering part. We recognize that, but we have a very strong engineering program all over the Philippines. So we just need to nuclearize them.
Well, good luck with that task, ma'am, and of course explaining to the people what nuclear technologies are available right now. Thank you very much, Dr. Val.
Thank you very much.
The Philippine government must bring down the cost of power. Doing so could attract more foreign investments. It can also mean savings for Filipinos. But the push for nuclear energy must come with safety measures and proper disposal of nuclear wastes. So, is the Philippines ready for nuclear energy? We'll find out soon. Be informed, be insightful of the news. I'm Gerg Cahiles. Always stay at the forefront.